You have just tuned into the one and only PvP guide that you will ever need to become a better, if not the best, sloop helm in Hourglass. My name is Puff. I am a SeaOfThieves partner. We're currently over 4,400 levels in Hourglass. For at least 90% of the time, I've been on a dual sloop to achieve these levels. This concludes that I have a lot of hours behind the sloop helm and thought I would share my tips on how to take your sloop helm to the next level. I think it's very important to pin down what the roles are on a dual sloop. So we have 1, the cannoneer, and then we have 2, the helm, which this video is for. But what do each role do? The basic layout for what the roles do on a ship is that the cannoneer, they cannon. And the helm, well, they keep the angle, they bilge, they repair everything. They watch for borders, and they apply secondary pressure by using their sniper. They might even be the primary boarder in the crew, which I am when I sail with my main crewmate. How these different tasks are divided among a sloop crew might seem unfair, but trust me, it pays off when both crewmates know what they're doing to avoid confusion. You might even ask why we play like this, but the answer is simple. If your cannoneer applies pressure on the opponent, the helm's job becomes significantly easier. While the cannoneer can focus on applying pressure and not worrying about anything else, there will be less moments where both crewmates overlap their tasks. Before we go into details of managing the sloop basically alone, I want to point out how you should approach the Hourglass battle to have the best conditions for you to do so. Starting off with the helm is giving left side shots, also known as turning your wheel to the right so you open up an angle on the left side of the sloop. You do this while your cannoneer is raising your sail to about 20 to 30% for a very comfortable speed for your cannoneer to start cannoning on long distance. The left side has several benefits, such as less lower deck holes, which is 3 compared to the right side of the sloop that got 4. The first crack on the mast happens on the right side, which gives you a safer way to repair it while you can keep an eye on where the shots are coming from. The sloop stairs are on the right side, again, and a much easier way to bucket out water without getting tossed around by potential cannon splash damage. Mast is also falling to the right side while demasted, and also a shorter distance to grab more cannons if you have to reball from the cannon barrel. Now, when we have introduced you to what a sloop helm is doing on the ship, I will help you structure up how you should prioritize your tasks. I see a lot of people panicking and forgetting about the most important role that the helm has when they're playing, and that is simply, could you guess it? Yeah, keeping the angle for your cannoneer. Without the angle, your cannoneer can't do their job, and your opponent will likely have free shots on you. So regardless of what is happening, you should always work towards keeping the angle. Next up is keeping up with bilging, also known as buckets, to keep the water level down. You can easily keep up with some water pressure on your own without actually getting any repairs. While bucketing, you can also apply secondary damage by using your sniper from either the helm or if you're sitting on second deck and shoot the opponent's cannoneer. Depending on what is taking damage, I might prioritize repairing something over bucketing, such as taking damage on your wheel and mast. They should be repaired as soon as possible. You might ask yourself, what do I repair first if I have a both broken wheel and a mast? Then you have to look at the situation. If you lose angle, you have to repair the wheel. If you're still keeping an angle, you repair the mast first. Hourglass is very situational, and you should read into the situation to make the smarter decision. When it comes to repairing holes down below, I normally go as far as I can from where the left side cannon is on the ship. The cannon line is a high priority for the cannoneer to focus on due to the mast and the opponent cannoneer being right there. Therefore, since we are given left side shots, we need to make sure that the right side holes are repaired as soon as possible. I will a lot of the times then prioritize repairing back holes over lower deck holes to ensure that if our water level hits second deck, I have more time to recover and grab buckets. If I break down my repair priority list, it would be looking something like this. Number 1, wheel. This is if we're losing the angle. 2, mast, if we can predict that we're still keeping the angle while I repair. 3, right side holes plus the front lower deck hole. 4, the back holes of the ship. 5, lower deck left sides. And the very last one is the left cannon line hole that sits right above the stove on the sloop. The fourth priority is now secondary damage, also known as sniper shots. My recommended weapon loadout as a sloop helm would be IR reach, also known as a sniper, and a blunderbuss. Hitting your shots with your sniper from your boat is a real game changer. The cannoneer becomes very vulnerable, and they have to step away from the cannon to avoid dying to cannon splash damage. If you time it perfectly, a sniper shot and a cannon splash damage, you will have a guaranteed kill on your opponent. And why the blunderbuss, you might ask? It's great for board and ladder defense if you're getting boarded, and you can also knock back your opponent to follow up with a sniper to get the kill, or potentially prevent you from getting killed yourself. My fifth and last priority, which also might not apply to everyone depending on your crew, is boarding. Depending on who the main boarder is, they will be the one shooting over to try distract and kill the opponent while leaving the boat to their crewmate. In my case, I am typically the one going over to secure the kill, which means that I make sure that I leave the boat in a state that we could recover from if I would have an unsuccessful board. Avoiding leaving your crewmate with a lot of water pressure so they can keep applying pressure on the opponent's ship while you're boarding. If you're not the main boarder, you simply become the cannoneer while your main cannoneer is boarding. As a summary, and for the people loving lists, this is my helming priority broken down. Number 1, angle. Number 2, buckets. Number 3, repairs. Number 4, snipes. And number 5, boarding. You might have heard the saying, communication is key. And in Hourglass, there's no exception. I would recommend all crews to use a voice chat to avoid miscommunication. It's particularly important for the helm to communicate since they are the eyes of the ship. You might be in an Hourglass fight, but you gotta remember that a third-party ship can still roll up on you at any point since Hourglass habits out in high seas. The biggest game changer for my crew was to make a habit out of preventative callouts, such as the cannoneer calling out them losing angle before it happens and not after. The cannoneer is fully aware of when the angle is changing and should tell the helm as early as possible to adjust it before it's too late. This will help the helm prioritize, but also have the helm make less trips up to the top deck to adjust the wheel if there's a lot of pressure downstairs. The less the helm needs to touch the wheel, the better the helm you are. More importantly, since the helm is doing everything else but cannoning most of the time, you will be put into situations where you might need your cannoneer to do something for you. The more common scenario is losing angle or mast while having very high water pressure. Since the helm's number 1 priority is keeping angle, the helm adjusts the wheel and calls down the cannoneer for buckets. Your cannoneer should always do as the helm's commands since they are the ones having the best overview of the state of the boat. Losing the angle will always be more harmful to the ship and is worth calling down your cannoneer for. Besides communicating in crucial situations, you should be communicating at all times. This goes for both helm and cannoneer. Call out deaths, low health, reball, sniper hits, state of the wheel, how many cracks on mast, if the mast is falling on the opponent boat, if your anchor drops, when you respawn from the ferry, if the opponent gets a revive, and so on. This will only create a better understanding for both crewmates and will help with decision making. Coming up, I will mention a few things that will take your decision making, movement, and overall performance as a helm to the next level. Always keep your eyes on the opponent's ship. Listen for the cannon shots while you move around. By doing this, you run a lower risk of getting killed by cannonballs and also backsplashing water while bilging. You also pay attention to if the angle is becoming bad before it happens. This goes also for when you're repairing your wheel and mast. Angle your camera so you always look at the opponent's ship while doing so. Bilge in different places. Practice and become comfortable bucketing out water not only in the front of the ship, but utilize the side windows and the back of the ship. This can make you avoid backsplashing if the cannoneer is landing shots by the ship crest or a running person is coming towards you, such as a crewmate or while boarded by another crew. Ship speed. Did you know that you can recover from a potential loss of angle by lowering down more sail? Well, you can almost purely adjust an orbital, which is a circle around your opponent, by only using the sail length. I've had multiple situations where the wheel is broken and we're about to lose the angle. Instead of repairing my wheel and adjusting, I let down more sail to get a wider circle. This trick can be applied in multiple scenarios. Stop repairing your wheel fully. For people that aren't familiar with wheel damage terminology, depending on how many pegs that are missing on the wheel, you have either a tier 1, a tier 2, or a tier 3 damage on the wheel. This loop exclusively is capable of being maneuverable with a tier 1 and a tier 2 damage on it. If you find yourself in a situation where the wheel is a tier 3, repair it once or twice if you can and start adjusting the angle immediately instead of repairing it fully. Call out if you're repairing the left side of the mast. This is one of the few times you can't angle the camera and look at the opponent's ship while repairing. Letting your cannoneer know so they can make a preventative call out in case a cannonball is coming towards you. Your cannoneer can also focus the opponent's cannon line while you're doing so, but they can also be mentally ready to revive you if you would die. Place crates of wood around the ship. This is for easier access when you run out of planks, so you don't have to run downstairs every time to grab new ones. I personally place one by helm, one by mast, one in the middle of second deck, one behind the map table, one on the stairs to the lower deck, and one in front of bottom deck. This is also a trick to give controller players a harder time to swap their weapons while boarding you, since it's the same prompt for swapping guns as it is for opening a crate. Swap roles with your crewmate. Try to swap roles with your crewmate every now and then to not only learn, but to get a better understanding of your crewmate's role. Becoming a better all-sided player will always be in your favor. Hopefully, this video gave you some insight in how sloop helming in Hourglass can be done. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you find this video helpful. You can also find me streaming live over at Twitch if you click the link in the description. See you on the next one.